story of Moishe, the Moishe Feller, the head shliach to Minnesota, relates as follows. So he's a Minnesota boy. There's not a word for it. Born in Minnesota.
Minnesotan.
Minnesota, that's the word. So he says in his youth, so his parents, him and his sisters, they sent to New York. They're from family, as you'll hear. And he learned in Torah V'das in New York. Now, one year, when I was in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, Ben Asmanim, I guess it was the summer, we went home. So two Bachrim showed up on Merka Shlichus. Who were the two Bachrim? Rabbi Yehuda Krinsky and Rabbi Shem Tov. I don't know which Shem Tov this would be.
My Shver.
Oh, it is your Shver. But Mendel Shem Tov, how beautiful. Chaim's father-in-law. Now, at that time, he says, I didn't know anything about Chassidus and Chassidim, but these young fellas, these Bachrim, made a tremendous impression on me. And I agreed to the suggestion when I go back to New York to learn Tanya every Motzei Shabbos. So Rabbi Krinsky used to come, Rabbi Yudah Krinsky, to my sister's house in Brownsville, where she lived. I think she's married, this one. We would learn for an hour every Motzei Shabbos Tanya. He said, this year went for 9 months. He says, I call this, he says, Moishe Feller, my Tisha Yarche Leda. I'm sure we're learning about that, the 9 months of pregnancy. My Ruchnisdik pregnancy. And we learned during these 9 months till Perek Lamed Vav. Till Dirib Tachtonim. He said that the learning really, I was taken by it. And I found, he says, in Tanya, something that I was seeking. What's Torah and mitzvahs, really the appreciation of that, and so on. All this time, Rabbi Krinsky's inviting me many times to come to the Fabrengen, but whatever, it didn't happen. The end of the school year, now it's the summer, exactly this time of year, a little bit earlier. So Yudah Krinsky is saying, come before you go back home to Minnesota, at least one Fabrengen. So, okay. Turns out that Fabrengen is Yud Beis Tammuz. Now, at that Fabrengen, the Rebbe spoke then, famous sikha about the importance of Merka Shlichus. He was actually talking about Rabbi Krinsky, didn't say his name. And the famous sikha, the Rebbe said that apparently the Bach had written in, and they didn't know what he accomplished. He came to a place and whatever, just they didn't seem to meet anybody. And so the Rebbe says he himself doesn't know that he's walking in the street dressed like a Chassidic Bacher. It's a warm day and he's wearing his yarmulke. And tzitzis, his yarmulke sticking out apparently. And his tzitzis are swaying in the wind. He looks like a Batlam, not from this world. And he's walking in the street and he doesn't know that someone looking through the window. He sees this Bach and he remembers his Zayda. It was a year that was Torah mitzvahs. And this sets in motion a whole inner turmoil that nobody can foresee where this ends up. Just seeing this boy walk down the street. And the Rebbe says this actually is a tremendous pull. It's the highest form of tzedakah, where you don't even know that you gave, and you don't know who you gave to. So he says, I was at this Fabrengen, I was completely, I'm hearing this and I think to myself, he himself, his whole journey that's now 9 months into it, all started with these Bachrim who came to Minnesota. Halavai I was able to join such a shlichus. I understood that it's not for me, even Bachrim from Torah V'das, I'm not even learning the Babish and Tibret Timimim. And the whole week I'm thinking this after the Fabrengen. And this desire to be part of this, it's a very idealistic fellow, Rabbi Feller, this whole idea really talked to him. How wonderful would it be if I could just join these boys, somehow be part of the chevra that go on Merka Shlichus that Rebbe spoke about. Just by the way, he doesn't say it in this story, but I heard it from him. So the first thing that struck him when he came to the Fabrengen was, and I'll stop being until continue tomorrow, was the microphone and the speakers. He'd gone to Chassidic Rebbe in New York. He says something words, you have to you hear and you get a snap, and what did he say? Nobody knows. And it was a very mystical experience. And the Rebbe sits there, and it's a big room, and it's a mic. As he's listening and listening, you realize this man has something to say. He wants it to be heard. He has a message. He has a message, not a mystical vatayra, but a message for us and for the world. It struck him. Of course, there was sits not with a streimel, the downtown hat, the whole thing. But mostly that was the microphone and the speaker. So he realized, yeah, this is what we're talking about. Okay, so we'll continue to see what happens to him subsequent, very soon after the Fabrengen, his first Yechidus. All right, friends, have a wonderful day.